When a child starts to feel frustrated or gets down on themselves during tutoring or homework, there are three steps that you can take to help because when a child is in that emotional mind, they are not in the area of the brain that can learn. And so the first thing you need to do is validate the emotion. And a good way to do that is to ask them, what's that feeling you're feeling? And rather than labeling the feeling, rather than saying, are you mad? Are you frustrated? Are you angry? See if the child can use the language to describe what they're feeling. And at Adventures in Wisdom, we call this, what grungy are you feeling? And grungy is a great term because it's that yucky, grungy feeling, but we're not labeling the feeling. And then once the child shares that feeling, then validate it. It's like, oh, I can see why you're feeling that way, and let them feel that feeling for a minute. And, for example, they might be like, I'm mad, I hate this. And, that's not uncommon at all when children with learning differences are doing homework or tutoring. Step two is then to identify the thought. So feelings come from thoughts. And so if you can help them identify the thought that they're thinking, then you can help that child power shift the thought into something that's more supportive. But first, they need to clue into what was the thought that they were having that triggered that feeling, that grungy feeling. So they might say something, for example, I'm never going to get this, it's too hard, or something like that. And once you identify that thought, then you can help work with them on how else they might be able to think about what it is that they're thinking. So step three, then, once you've got that thought identified, power shifting the thought. So how can you help them explore thinking about this in a way that is different or more empowering, and then embed that new thought? And here is where power shifting, which is a mindset skill, and then self-talk come into play. So for example, they might realize, through talking with you that yes, this is challenging. It's hard for them right now. But each time they practice, they're building stronger neural pathways in their brain, which are going to get stronger, which means things are going to get easier and their reading's going to improve. So, when kids, for example, one of the things that I teach them about is neural pathways and how, when you've never done something before, your brain has no neural pathway in it at all. So it doesn't know how to think or feel about it. But, for example, learning a new word. But the first time they see that word, there's a neural pathway that's laid down. The second time, the third time, the fourth time, these neural pathways start building. And when kids learn about neural pathways and they can visualize that nothingness going from a thin line to a thicker line to a thicker line, they can trust that their brain is actually laying down the neural pathways to help support them in their learning. So, for example, this is one of the most powerful skills that I find kids learn that helps them break through nervousness, but it also helps them understand why practicing is so important. And that's where tutoring and homework and things like that come in. So, a self talk that they might get when they realize that, yeah, I don't get this yet, but every time I practice, it's getting better. They can say something to themselves like, I may not get this yet, and the yet is really important. I may not get this yet, but every time I practice, I'm building stronger neural pathways, so my reading's actually getting better. And so, do you see, they've gone from, I hate this, to, I may not get this yet, but every time I practice, I'm building neural pathways in my brain, so my reading's getting a little bit better. So, those are three steps that you can take. Validate the feelings because they have to get through that emotion first and breathe through that. And they have to know that it's okay. So, validate the emotion first. Second, identify that thought that was triggered by the emotion. And then third, explore that thought and see how you can power shift it. So those are three steps that I hope you can take to help the kids in your life when they get frustrated or down on themselves with their learning challenges. Now, I teach kids how to manage this process themselves. So that's what mindset training is all about. So if you think the child or children in your life could benefit from understanding how to pay attention to and manage and power shift their thoughts and how to learn how their mind is actually working, then head over to empowerdyslexic.kids.com and learn about the free Meet Your Mind Power training that I give to dyslexic kids and kids with learning differences. Again, it's empowerdyslexic.kids.com, and I would love to teach these mindset skills to the kids in your life.